Okay, last question. Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you've learned in the progression from it to the full final opening? I've learned that making a film isn't incredibly easy. I've learned about the different aspects that actually make a film. Uh, Nothing on screen is there by mistake. Everything from like the most minute, almost pointless detail is put there. Colours, lighting, costumes, props, actors, everything, camera angles is all predetermined for some reason. Colours, symbolic codes can suggest a lot about, say, a person, for example. If you've got a film and there's someone's room is like bright red, you may think that that person might be quite aggressive, quite angry or something like that. Just for example, not saying you're angry if you have a red room, just an idea. Lighting, high key lighting, low key lighting can suggest mood, time of day, editing techniques. So that's fast-paced editing, slow-paced editing. Fast-paced editing you can use in action scenes, fighting scenes, gun. It's very intense. It's quite claustrophobic. Makes it you're involved with the action. Slow-paced editing might be quite relaxing. Yeah, so that's that kind of stuff, and pretty much editing. So much can be done with editing. It's incredible. There's so much. Editing almost makes a film what it is. It's what you can do with that editing that tells the audience how where's the story going, almost like it's what pushes the narrative forward. It's incredibly important, and I've learned that all of these things ultimately create the final thing. And because when it came to just me doing it, it was incredibly difficult to do all of it and to think of all of it. So when I was thinking about it, it was quite hard to get my head around the lighting, the editing, the costumes and all the rest of it, because usually in big films you have teams of people doing it behind the scenes. So all those people's work come together to the final thing, and it was just me doing it. So it was quite informative as to like what the processes are to get that final thing. Also, I learnt about camera angles in the preliminary task. Our task was to shoot someone walking through a door, the door closing, and then the two characters exchanging dialogue. So camera angles in that were quite basic, I guess, but you can learn quite a lot from them, because you've got your over the shoulder shots, you've got your panning shots. Over the shoulder shots, you can switch between the talker and the listener. Often the listener is the person you should be looking at, because they've got the reaction on their face to what the person's saying, which the audience can connect to more. It's more powerful on screen. I also learned that certain camera angles and sounds can motivate a cut. So in the preliminary task, the sound of the door shutting motivated a cut to be done. So that cut went from the door shutting to me walking to a table to sit down to interrogate someone. So I learned about cutting, where to cut, where's the best place to cut, how can you like keep the narrative smooth and seem to flow still without disturbing it too much by using sound cuts, shape cuts. So you've got a good example of that is like you have a camera looking at a fan, say like a fans you have in the ceiling, and then it goes from that to a helicopter propeller. That's often used, that kind of stuff. So that's like a smooth transition. I learned about that, and also I learned to make a scene interesting. You need a variety of camera angles. So to make the preliminary task not as boring, because it's just us talking and the door closing, so that's quite boring. You had to include some different camera angles, and I found instead of storyboarding it, if you just write a list of camera angles down which you want to include, say a dolly shot, a pan shot, aerial shot, arc shot, medium shot, long shot, blah blah blah, it makes it more interesting. Mike Figgis does this. He is a British director and he's pretty good. And I believe it's a really good way of making a film. Also it's like Ridley Scott style. You instead of having it all pre-planned, you just on the spur of the moment you're like, oh right, I need a scene, an emotional scene between these two characters, and then you've got your shot list, and you just go down your shot list and you see like which camera angle would go well with this. So say you want a pan shot or an arc shot that spins around the characters as they're doing this dialogue. So you know beforehand that you've got an interesting shot full of different types of camera angle. So because you just tick them off after you've got them, so you know that you've got them. That's a good way of doing it. I learned that camera angles are extremely important into making it interesting, because you don't want it being boring. Say like there's in almost every film there's a scene where two people are just talking. So how do you make that interesting? You need to have different camera angles, different editing styles, that kind of stuff to make it more interesting. And that is a big thing I learned from the preliminary task, definitely. But yeah, that's it. So very important, camera angles. Learn well.